Welcome to another edition of the Post Game Wrap, brought to you by Red Raider Outfitter, the fans' favorite since 1975. I'm Jared Johnson, and wow, Texas Tech put a whipping on West Virginia Saturday night tonight. 48-10 at the Jones. Big victory for Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, and the entire program. As the Red Raiders, they went in their bye with that 3-3 split, which was great, but they had also lost, the last couple of games. So they really needed that victory. It was the first one since beating Texas. You lost at Kansas State, you lost at Oklahoma State. It was tough. A loss here at West Virginia, there would have been some warning signs or alarm bells going off, but there was no doubt in this one. A complete victory. All three phases won. Offense was great, generated around 600 yards of offense. Baron Morton made his second start, threw for 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Texas Tech ran the ball for almost 240 yards. Taj Brooks ran for over 100 and 2 touchdowns. He was great. SaRodorick got off to kind of a slow start, SaRodorick Thompson, but he had a really nice touchdown run late and ran for over 50 yards. And then even true freshman Bryson Donnell got in, ran for almost 50 yards, and looked really good in his time. So total domination on offense. The receivers, including the tight ends, got involved. Xavier White was the leading receiver. He was great, double-digit receptions, I believe. He had over 100 yards in a touchdown. He was really, really good. But it seemed like almost everybody got into it, including the tight ends. Mason Tharp had some really big catches, some conversions. Texas Tech started off 6 for 6 on 4th down. And that was, if it wasn't just, didn't end up being such a whipping, then that would have been a major thing in the game. But, I mean, look, 6 for 6 in the first half. I think they went 6 for 7. They finally were stopped on that 7th 4th down try. I think it was a sack on 4th and 1. But 4 for 4 in the first down, which led to those first 2 touchdowns. 6 for 6 in the first half, and they looked really good on 4th down, converting those. So that was a big part of the game. Defensively, the secondary was just amazing. I mean, they really were. The whole defense was great. I mean, you held West Virginia to just 10 points, under 100 yards rushing, produced 4 turnovers. I mean, the Red Raiders had only 6 turnovers in its first 6 games. They came up with 4 against West Virginia. They were +4 in this game, and obviously that was a huge part of the victory. But the secondary played a big part in that. Those 2 corners, Malik Dunlap, Rashad Williams, they both start. A lot is asked of them, and they played really well. They each had interceptions and then additional pass breakups to go along as they were tested in some one-on-one matchups. But then the safeties were great. The safeties that's a group that I brought up that I thought would be a major strength of the team, and we've seen that kind of in spurts. But Dadrian Taylor Demerson came up with a big interception. Muddy Waters, who plays a hybrid safety outside linebacker role, was terrific. He was all over the field in both against the run and against the pass. And then against the pass also as a pass rusher or blitzer at times, but then also in coverage. So he was really good. And then Reggie Pearson came with some really big tackles, made some really nice stops when it looked like it was going to be a big game for the Mountaineers. And man, Pearson stopped him cold. So secondary, terrific. But it wasn't just them. The linebackers, of course, Krishan Merriweather and Kosai Eldridge, they were great, flying all over the field. But as Mighty Joe and I talked about during and after the game, perhaps those backups were even better. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. Joe did, but they were really good. Jacob Rodriguez and Tyreek Matthews, both really good. They produced a turnover. So linebackers look great. Dimitri Moore, outside linebacker, also had his best game of the season. I think he had a tackle for loss and a couple other really nice tackles and was physical. So they looked really, really good. And then finally, the defensive line. They didn't have a big stat game in terms of them producing sacks or big tackles for loss, but when a team doesn't rush for 100 yards and runs for about 3 yards a carry, and then when a team turns it over 4 times because the quarterback's getting pressured, the defensive line is usually a big part of it. And Tyree Wilson, I'm going to start calling him Bull because his bull rush is just collapsing pockets every week. He's playing like a first-round draft pick. He's among the leaders in the Big 12 and in the country in sacks. He's been terrific, and he was terrific again. Not necessarily, I think he had a half a sack or a sack in the game, but in collapsing the pocket on a consistent consistent basis, to which JT Daniels, West Virginia's quarterback, couldn't feel comfortable or didn't feel comfortable, and he threw 3 interceptions. So, but Jalen Hutchings played well, also on the D-line. Tony Bradford, Philip Bleedy. I'm missing some people, but as Mighty Joe and I pointed out to each other during the game, at some point we're like, man, this guy's having a good game. Man, that guy's having a good. Oh man, this guy. At some point, everybody on defense we had named, this guy's having a really good game. So it was that kind of game. And then, special teams has been much maligned, and for good reason. There's been a lot of mistakes, but Trey Wolf converted a couple of kicks. Other than Austin McNamara failing to pin West Virginia inside the 21 time, he had like a 63 or 64 yard punt on his own later in the game. Other than that one play, and that's a really small thing, I really think special teams played great. Again, kicking game was solid. Covers teams were good. Xavier White has emerged as the primary punt and kick returner. At least he was Saturday, and he did a good job. He fielded a couple of short punts that could have rolled for a long way, which we've seen how many times over the years, last couple of years. So, all 3 phases Texas Tech played very well, and that's why they came up with a big victory, 48-10. And then I want to say the offensive line. I have criticized the offensive line a lot before and during, after games, before the season, all that. But you got to tip the cap to what they did. Anytime you run for almost 250 yards and you throw for another 340 or whatever they did, you roll up 600 yards of offense. You only allow 1 sack, which may or may not have been on the offensive line, quite honestly. You got to tip the cap. They did. Offensive line played easily its best game of the season, and they did it with a man down. Monroe Mills got hurt. Coach McGuire said on Tuesday it was an MCL. He said it's nothing major. They don't think he could be back even as soon as the Baylor game. We'll have to see. But Matt Keeler stepped in there at right tackle and played very well. So, you really got to just tip the cap and give credit where credit's due. Offensive line played its best game of the year. It was a big part of the victory. And now Texas Tech is 4-3 overall, 2-2 in the Big 12. And they have Baylor coming to town, who just lost to West Virginia, the previous Thursday, but is a very good team. Don't get me wrong, Baylor's a good team. They're the defending Big 12 champs. And there's a lot of emotion for that game, which I believe it's a 6:30 p.m. kickoff at the Jones for Texas Tech and Baylor. For one, a lot of the staff, including head coach Joey McGuire, comes from Baylor, but also Patrick Mahomes is going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame, everything that Texas Tech has, and rightfully so. And it's going to be a sellout. So a night game at the Jones, there's going to be a lot of emotion with that game, and Texas Tech has a lot of confidence coming off this big victory over West Virginia. So a lot of excitement, and I can't wait to be here with you, be there watching it, talking to you all about it, and see what happens. Because if you win that game, you get on a roll. Who knows what could happen? Because Texas Tech played one of the better games we've seen from Red Raider football, in several years against West Virginia. So we'll have to see what happens next week. But man, enjoy that victory, Red Raider Nation, because it was complete. Also, finally, I asked Coach McGuire, I said, hey, I don't think there was any major injuries from the game Saturday. He said, no, actually, no serious injuries. And he expects the team to be as healthy as they've been since before the season started for that Baylor game, getting guys like Miles Price back, maybe even J.J. Sparkman, so maybe even Tyler Shuck. Now, we'll have to see what happens with the quarterback position. You assume Baird Morton's still going to be the guy starting after what we've seen from him in 2 starts, but that whole 3 quarterback on the field at the same time thing might come to fruition that Coach McGuire's been talking about for so long. So, no matter what, being healthy is a good thing, and winning the way Tech did is a good thing, and having excitement like we're going to have at the Jones next week for a night game is also a very good thing. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.